Section 2 is going to talk about our third transformation, which is a rotation. We're going to talk about a rotation being a twist around the center or around the origin. So we're going to think about leaving a pivot point and literally twisting or rotating our figure. So again, our notation R and R prime is going to hold, and you see that I took R and I rotated it through kind of on a pivot this center point. So again, does not change size or shape. So that's a nice check if you've graphed it right, if your pictures look the same. It only changes location. So if we look at this figure that's already been done for us, here's my pre-image A, and if I draw this triangle into the origin and out to A prime, you can see that this rotation, even with a bad line, is a 90-degree rotation in the clockwise direction. And I could do that same from B to the origin to B prime is a 90-degree clockwise rotation. And from C to the origin to C prime, 90 degrees in the clockwise direction. So that's what it means to do a rotation. Now, each rotation has a rule. And if you think about going clockwise 90 degrees or going counterclockwise 270, those are the exact same rules. So we're going to write them together. So our rule is going to be take your pre-image and your image will become y negative x. So you're going to flip-flop their position and do the opposite sign on the x. Going clockwise 180 or counterclockwise 180, this way 180 or this way 180 results in the same position. So our rule there is take your x and your y and you do the opposite sign of the x, opposite sign of the y in their same positions. And lastly, our rotation here, if we are going draw my circle the right way, clockwise 270 or counterclockwise 90, it doesn't matter, it's the same ending position. So those two rotations have the rule of the opposite of y and then x. So those are on your reference sheet and something you're going to want to refer to when you are doing your homework problems. So let's look at a couple examples. So rotate MTN clockwise 90. Okay, so our clockwise 90 rule says take T prime clockwise 90, make sure you grab the correct rule, is y opposite of x. So if we note what our coordinates are of m is at -5, 0, n is at -3, -4, and t is at -2, -2. So my rule says make the y first and do the opposite sign. Make the y first, do the opposite sign. Make the y first, do the opposite sign. So when I go to graph this, I'm at 0, 5, -4, positive 3, and negative 2, 2. And if I just quick check from t back to t, that is a 90-degree counterclockwise, or clockwise rather, 90-degree clockwise rotation, and that would hold for all of the other pictures. If I want to rotate a figure counterclockwise 180, which is the same as clockwise, our rule, take your original, and we're going to do the opposite signs in the same position of our x and our y. So u is at negative 4, 0. J is at negative 5, negative 2. K is at negative 3, negative 3. And P is at negative 1, negative 2. This rule says just do the opposite signs. So the opposite of negative 4 is 4. 0 doesn't change. Here we'll have 5, 2, 3, 3, and 1, 2. When I go to graph this, I'll have 4, 0, which is going to be u prime. I will have 5, 2, j prime, 3, 3, k prime, and 1, 2 is p prime. My figure appears to be the same, and if I think about connecting a figure, a point to its image through the origin, this looks like in either direction 180 degrees. And so I feel pretty confident that I have rotated my figure correctly. Now, writing the rule, which you are missing in the notes here, but we can go through it. Writing the rule is about examining the coordinates. So on your notes, you have the figure h, which is at negative 3, 3. It is going to become h prime at 2. Oh, sorry, wrong problem. That is the end of our transformations unit, or section 2.